14. Photosynthesis, the source of food for life. To survive, humans need not only air, water, and salt but also need to absorb nutrients, mainly carbohydrates. Where do carbohydrates come from? They come from photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is the process by which plants and other organisms use light energy to convert carbon dioxide and water into the nutrients they need, specifically carbohydrates. The human body cannot conduct photosynthesis, and neither can any other animals. Photosynthesis mainly occurs within green plants. Therefore, humans must rely on green plants. Photosynthesis can be briefly described as follows. When sunlight shines upon the leaves of plants, it will be captured by chlorophyll in the cells of leaves. The light energy captured by chlorophyll will decompose the water entering the leaves via roots into hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen will be released through the pores on the leaves, while hydrogen will be kept within the leaves and will react with carbon dioxide entering the leaves via pores on the leaves to form carbohydrates. The vigorous carbohydrates will spread in the plant cells through veins and enable the absorption and growth of plants. The most common type of carbohydrate is glucose, which will combine with nitrogen to form amino acids, proteins, and nucleic acids needed by life. Nitrogen is carried inside plants mainly through the water absorbed by the root systems of plants. Because of photosynthesis, part of the carbohydrates formed inside the plants will be supplied to the plant itself, and the rest will be stored in the leaves and fruits. Humans and animals absorb carbohydrates by consuming the leaves and fruits of plants. Carbohydrates are compounds composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms. Sugars, glucose, and fructose are simple carbohydrates, while starch and cellulose are relatively complex carbohydrates. The molecules of simple carbohydrates contain only a few carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms, while the molecules of complex carbohydrates have many carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms. All the food we eat, fundamentally speaking, comes from photosynthesis. Without photosynthesis, there would be no humans. Some people argue, I do not rely on plants and can survive only on poultry and domesticated animals, so I don't need the photosynthesis of plants. The problem is without the photosynthesis of plants, there would be no poultry and domesticated animals, as they rely on plants for survival. Of course, we can survive by eating fish, but fish also rely on the photosynthesis of algae and some protists. From a natural point of view, only plants can make food. Animals and humans cannot make food themselves because their bodies do not have the elements for photosynthesis. In addition to providing food for itself, animals, and humans, the photosynthesis of plants has a tremendous function, the absorption of carbon dioxide and the release of oxygen. If plants did not make oxygen, animals and plants would have died out long ago. If plants did not absorb carbon dioxide, the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere would exceed the norm, and the greenhouse effect would worsen, and the temperature of the earth would be too high for humans and animals to survive. Do you think that the photosynthesis of plants begins and happens incidentally? 15. 15. Symmetry in nature, a mysterious and great power. Look into the mirror. You step forward, and the person in the mirror steps forward, you move backward, and they do the same. You smile, and they smile back. You raise your leg, and so does your reflection. Take the mirror as a tangent, and you and your image in the mirror have formed symmetry. If an object is cut in half vertically from the midpoint and the left and right sides completely overlap each other, then this object is symmetrical. Let's look at the microscopic and macroscopic world, and we will discover that galaxies, the solar system, the Earth, humans, birds, tigers, fish, frogs, roundworms, flies, crickets, leaves, fresh flowers, butterflies, shells, eggs, seeds, cells, and so on are all symmetrical objects. Tornadoes, vortexes, diamonds, crystals, pyrite, pearls, hair, water droplets, the orbits of celestial movements, and helixes are also symmetrical. Among the Arabic numerals of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, the odd numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 are symmetrical with the even numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. The number of men is symmetrical with the number of women when considered on a larger timescale. Symmetry is omnipresent in the universe. Without symmetry, there would be no universe. Why does the nail that sticks out gets hammered down? Because the nail that sticks out breaks the symmetry. Why does the Leaning Tower of Pisa make people feel uncomfortable? Because it has lost its symmetry. Why are some people called handicapped? Because they lack symmetry. Why was the World Trade Center of America bombed? Because America had become unsymmetrical with other countries. Why was Falun Gong suppressed? Because it was not symmetrical with Chinese culture at the time. Why have many ancient civilizations in human history declined? Because they have lost symmetry. Why are monsters and demons frightening? Because they are asymmetrical. Why do some artists' works look disgusting? Because their works lack symmetry. Why do some buildings appear unsafe? Because they are not symmetrical. Why are some people irascible? Because they are psychologically asymmetrical. Why are corrupt officials punished in the end? Because their mentality is not symmetrical with those of the common people. Why are meteorites frequently seen in the sky? Because these celestial bodies have lost their symmetry. Why did the emperor hang himself? Because his existence was asymmetrical with the situation of the time. Why does tranquility make one feel comfortable, while turbulence makes one feel nervous and upset? Because tranquility is symmetrical, but turbulence is asymmetrical. Symmetry is a kind of harmony, perfection, aesthetics, and order. Why are beauties intoxicating? Why are fresh flowers pleasing to the eye? Why is the music of moonlight on the spring river so soothing? Why do the sculptures of great masters appeal to us? Because they are harmonious and perfect, providing people with the enjoyment of beauty. Try to think. If a girl's left eye is larger than her right eye, her mouth is a bit oblique, she has only 4 fingers on her left hand, 8 toes on her right foot, and her left leg is shorter than her right leg, how would you feel? Humans are naturally inclined towards symmetry. Outstanding artists such as painters, sculptors, musicians, architects, and political leaders are experts in creating and utilizing symmetry. Understanding symmetry enables one to comprehend the mysteries of nature, while mastering symmetry allows one to perform tasks with ease and skill. A mature person is psychologically symmetrical, while a whimsical, eccentric, irascible, testy, and tempestuous person is psychologically asymmetrical. Symmetry is perfect, while asymmetry is defective. Symmetry is enduring, while asymmetry is fleeting. The purpose of discussing symmetry here is to understand the power that has created symmetry in all things in nature and why people are naturally inclined towards symmetry. Symmetry is a surface phenomenon that conceals a mysterious and powerful force. This force uses symmetry to control overdevelopment and disharmonious kinetic and potential energies. Why do humans have 2 eyes instead of 3? Why is the earth round? Why does a dog's tail grow on its rear body? Why are the wings of butterflies and birds identical? Why do people dislike ugly things? Scientists will certainly seek answers from the characteristics and structures of particles such as atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons, photons, etc., but it will be in vain, because you cannot explain the balanced symmetry of the 2 sexes, or why humans do not have tails. Do we feel, deep within our subconscious selves, that a higher wisdom is controlling all beings? If so, who is this higher wisdom but the greatest creator?